Keith Urban seems to have it all: chart-topping hits, Grammy wins, and TV stardom. But behind the success lies a life shaped by addiction, loss, health struggles, and personal tragedies he transformed into music. Keith Urban wasn't one of the unfortunate celebrities who lost their houses in the California wildfires of 2018, but that doesn't mean he couldn't relate to the stars who did. In fact, he suffered a very similar experience at the age of just 10 when his family home burned down. Luckily, Urban and the rest of his immediate family weren't on the property at the time. The singer and his siblings were in school, while Mother Marianne and Father Robert were both at work. But the memories of what was left still haunt him. He told Extra.
And when you're walking through the house and it's just charred and as black as black, everywhere you look, it gives me chills.
Urban also recalled how locals rallied around the family following their devastating loss, saying, "And not just the Goodwills and the Salvation Armies and the Red Crosses, which also came to our aid, but also the community with clothing and food and shelter and a place to stay. Unbelievable." Urban's own issues with alcohol have been widely documented, but in 2016 he revealed to Rolling Stone that he'd grown up with a father who had a similar problem. Urban opened up about his early family life when asked if there was anything he wished he could have changed about it. He told the outlet, "I'd like to have been raised in a much more intimate house. My dad was an alcoholic, and I grew up in an alcoholic's house. No intimacy." In another chat with the same magazine 5 years later, Urban explained that his experiences as a youngster impacted his ability to deal with his own substance abuse issues. He said, "It took me a long time to get sober. Took me a long time to recognize my alcoholism, a long time, because I didn't drink like my dad, so I compared everything to him. But I was able to finally make the right choice in my life that I wish my dad would have made." Urban's father was not only an alcoholic, he was a strict disciplinarian too. Unfortunately for the future country star and his brother, this would often manifest itself in physical beatings. During his 2016 interview with Rolling Stone, Urban revealed how it took him a long time to accept that he was a victim of abuse. He told the outlet, 10 years ago, I would have said he never did anything I didn't deserve. Now I realize it's not about deserving it." The country star then added how his father was emotionally distant, saying, "I don't recall him ever telling me he loved me as a kid. I'd do a gig I thought was fantastic, and the only thing he'd say is, when you speak on stage, you've got to slow down." He never commented on anything else. Urban also spoke about how his dad appeared to have forgotten the physical abuse he inflicted as he entered his twilight years. Urban told Rolling Stone, "I don't think he was in denial. He genuinely had no recollection. Hitting you? I never did that." In 1998, Urban made what would be the first of several trips to rehab after enjoying the rock and roll lifestyle a little too much. He checked himself into the Cumberland Heights facility in Nashville after realizing that his addiction to cocaine had gotten out of control. Urban was living in the Tennessee city at the time, telling USA Weekend several years later, "I had this house in Nashville where I used to do drugs. It was a really cheap, rundown place. I remember one night crawling around on my hands and knees looking for these little rocks at 5 in the morning, and I was drenched in sweat. It was the worst." In another interview with Rolling Stone, Urban recalled how he began his wild partying days while touring with his band, The Ranch. He told the outlet, "I liked to get crazy after the gig, and when I would do lots of drugs is when I was home off the road. If we were home for 5 days, I'd be f***ed up most of the time, and then I would sort of get it together, and then we would play the show that night." In his revealing 2016 Rolling Stone interview, Urban reflected not only on the physical toll of his drug addiction, but also its emotional toll. In fact, he was once so depressed that he started to believe that his end was near. Referring to the despair he experienced while taking ecstasy and cocaine in the 1990s, Urban said, "I didn't seem able to stop. There was no stopping this time. I'd go to sleep, wake up a couple of hours later, go at it again, drinking to take the edge off. I remember thinking, I'm probably not going to make it until tomorrow. And then I thought, f*** it, I really don't care." Urban also expressed regret that he didn't seek professional help much earlier, admitting, "I knew I wasn't at my full potential, and that's what was starting to get to me. I was enslaved. I was living a very, very small life." Urban experienced the downside of being a world-famous country music star in 2020 when he was essentially pursued by a paparazzi photographer on his way to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. In an effort to shake him off, Urban, who was riding a motorcycle at the time, ended up getting into an accident. In a statement released through his publicist, Urban was keen to set the record straight about what went down. He said in the statement, "While out riding to an AA meeting, a time when my privacy is especially important to me, I felt myself being pursued. I sped up and in an effort to elude an oncoming car which was making an illegal U-turn, saw no choice but to drop my bike." The country star then threw something of a plot twist into proceedings, revealing that the man who'd essentially caused the incident actually came to his aid, resisting the temptation to take any snaps in the process. Luckily, Urban wasn't injured and was able to continue to his AA meeting. In 2021, Urban was booked to play the Bash on the Bay, an annual festival staged at Ohio's Lake Erie. Tragically, his long-running tour production manager suffered a fatal fall the day before. Randy Baja Fletcher teamed up with Urban in 2011 and was overseeing the staging at the time. In a statement released to Billboard, Urban spoke of Fletcher's zest for life, saying, "He saw the commonality in all of us, and I can promise you this, once you'd been in the orbit of his light, he'd stay with you forever. Some people ask, are you a glass half full or a glass half empty kind of person? Baja's view was, what a beautiful glass. I loved him, we all loved him." In 2017, Fletcher had accepted the inaugural Touring Lifetime Achievement Award by the Country Music Association for his services to the industry. The production manager had enjoyed a 5-decade stint in the business, interrupted only by a Vietnam tour during his brief spell in the American military.
Urban's glittering career came full circle in 2011 when he was appointed as one of 4 coaches on the inaugural season of The Voice Australia.
But many years before, the country singer first caught attention on 2 separate TV talent shows. Unfortunately, however, the budding country star had his dreams shattered by the judges on both shows. Urban first put himself at the mercy of Bernard King, 70s Australia's answer to Simon Cowell, as an 11-year-old on Pot of Gold with a cover of Applejack, and the fearsome judge didn't hold back. As Urban recalled on Conan, King told him,
I desperately encourage you to escape the mediocrity, get out of country and western and get into some real music.
King then added that if Urban continued singing country, he'd end up sounding absolutely useless. Undeterred, Urban went on to try his luck on the TV show New Faces at the age of 16 with a rendition of Air Supply's soft rock classic All Outta Love. Obviously not sensing they had a future Grammy-winning chart topper on their hands, the show's judging panel claimed that he still had a lot of work to do. It seems as though the elements are against Keith Urban. As well as losing all of his earthly possessions and the fire that engulfed his family home at the age of 10, the country superstar also had to suffer the heartache of losing his beloved collection of guitars in a flood. In 2010, an extreme downpour affected the Nashville rehearsal space where Urban stored his stash of musical instruments, and sadly, it instantly rendered them unplayable. The country singer was particularly upset about the damage to his 1988 Fender Telecaster, a 40th anniversary edition model named after the guardian angel Clarence in the Christmas classic It's a Wonderful Life.
You've been given a great gift, George. A chance to see what the world would be like without you.
Urban had bought the guitar during one of his first visits to the Big Apple during a period when he barely had a cent to his name. He told Rolling Stone, "It cost $2,500, or around $5,000 Australian, which is like $6,000 more than I had. But I feel like if a guitar is in your possession, you're the current caretaker, and your job is simply to take care of it. The fact that they all drowned on my watch just was devastating to me." Urban's career has been halted several times by one of the worst nightmares for someone who belts out country songs for a living: damage to his voice. The singer was first forced to take a break after developing throat problems shortly after the Ranch released their self-titled debut album in 1997, and then 14 years later, Urban had to postpone all live commitments when he underwent surgery to remove a vocal polyp that developed during his Get Closer World Tour. 24 hours before the successful procedure, which left him unable to talk for 3 weeks, Urban told fans on his official website, "I want to thank you for sending such good wishes for my upcoming surgery. I can't express enough my gratitude to you guys. It feels like family." Luckily, Urban made a full recovery, and he later paid tribute to the doctor, Stephen M. Zeitels, who helped him on this path. According to Billboard, Urban said in an event honoring the medic, "When you healed it and fixed it the way you did, I felt my entire spirit and life lift. I got stressed way less. I didn't have anxiety. It had such a profound effect on my whole being and world. That's how important my voice is to me." Nicole Kidman's mother, Janelle Ann Kidman, died in September 2024, leaving the family grieving and fans reaching out with their support. At the time, Nicole took to Instagram to share a message thanking her followers for their kind words. "Every message we have received from those who loved and admired our mother has meant more to us than we will ever be able to express. Thank you from our whole family for respecting our privacy as we take care of each other." Keith was also deeply affected by the loss, having known his mother-in-law for nearly 2 decades.
The country music star attended the iHeartRadio Music Festival later that month, where he was asked how the family was coping.
Speaking with E! News at the event, Keith said they were getting through, adding that a loss like this really brings a family together. He also shared that Nicole felt the love and support that fans had sent her way. While there had been plenty of rumors that Keith and Nicole's marriage was on the rocks, many people were still surprised to hear that the couple had split after 19 years together. People confirmed the news in September 2025 with a source telling the outlet that Nicole didn't want this and that she'd been fighting to save the marriage. Although Keith has yet to comment directly on the divorce as of the making of this video, he did say something that suggested he was unhappy on the CBS reality series The Road. When asked about the struggles of touring, Keith gave an emotional response, recounting waking up on the bus in the middle of the night sick as a dog and missing his family.
You're completely lonely and miserable and sick, and you say to yourself, why am I doing this?
It's unclear exactly why Keith and Nicole's marriage didn't work out, though sources told People that their lives were moving in different directions. The couple reached a custody agreement before filing for divorce.
Nicole will be the primary residential parent of their two daughters, 17-year-old model Sunday Rose and 15-year-old Faith Margaret.